it yields back something for me after a certain period. So that's what I target an investment. So it doesn't always have to be financial, doesn't have to be money. It could be your time invested into somebody's growth to expect that to yield some kind of interest. And sometimes it favors the you directly or indirectly. So that's what I call the investment in general. But I think when talking about financial investment, they can talk about money, you're talking about capital and time that yields back money in return for you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Mai. So for Mr. Mai, investment is anything that has to do with inputting in its time and money. And I think that's very, very significant because for some of us, we all think, oh, when it comes to investment, it's just money, right? When I was telling us that even time, things that you have invested your time in, things that you are thinking, oh, this should bring fruitful returns on, so it's all about your time and money. So Dr. Olufemi Seyi, the similar question goes to you. So what exactly do you think is investment to you?
Well, I hate to say this, but I think Maya said what I wanted to say. But
you can say it again in your own words.
That's the truth. I told you that I was going to be. But generally, investment is anything you put your resource into, whether actively or passively, or you understand that? Because you can whether actively or passively. What it means is that there are things you do that, how do I put it? Whether by commission or omission will be the proper word to use. So whatever you put your resource into, whether actively with the expectation of result, or that you put your time, your energy to, whether you are just wasting your time, not believe is an investment. So for me, an investment, anything I put my resources in, and particularly the ones I expect a form of return.
Right. That's excellent. Thank you for that answer. Thank you very much. So the next question I would like to ask, this is still dependent on this first question. And Mr. Maya, I'd like you to take that for us. So now we've acknowledged that investment means putting in your time and money and expecting a definite return on such, right? So now in your journey so far, what mistake would you think you have made when it comes to investment, right? Like, have you made any mistake, right? Maybe you have, maybe you have not. But if you have, what mistake do you think you've made and you just want to share it with us? Maybe in an experience, maybe you've invested some sort of money in something and everything just, went AWOL, or you've invested time in something. What mistake have you made? And can you just share some experience with us? You're on mute, sir. You're muted.
I think that if you haven't made any mistake, that means you have never invested in anything in life. That means you have never succeeded in life, because you're guaranteed to have made mistakes to be successful in investment. Also, there's some investment that you haven't made, where people made the investment, and that you deal with the process of not making such investments. So I think that, let me be very, very practical with maybe one or two examples of those, okay? I will start with an investment that I did make. So for some people on this slide, I managed to have worked in corporate for a long time. And for over 8 years, I worked in corporate before I decided to be a full-time tailor. And when I was in corporate, we had an association then. People like giving corporate guys, loans, property, or schemes, as the case may be. I was living in Lekki Phase 1, aspiring big boy, and I worked in Guinness at the point in time. And there was an investment into a property in Mowe, Ofada. And I think it was 1 million, and they even let us pay over time. But you see, I was never really thinking of investment. I kept thinking I would never leave there. Why would I drop money?
Right.
And it wasn't a lot of money, because they managed the process. It was taken from our salaries. You had time to pay. It was even interest fee. You just pay the money over how long you want to pay. There was a period of time, but it was supposed to be really good investment. But I didn't do it because I was thinking of myself. I kept thinking, I wouldn't live in Moe. I'll live on the island. Why would I give out money for a plot of land in Moe? Which I think was very, very stupid of me. And what happened with that investment was that everybody was entitled to a slot. And I gave somebody my slot. I didn't sell my slot to somebody. I gave my slot to somebody. Like, buy it under my name and I'll give you the rights to it and stuff.
Right.
And I think that literally it happened. I left Guinness, and years later, the person I gave my slot to was like, "Oh, come and sign the papers over." But she was very, very panicky, and she was scared that I would not sign this paper over. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I signed over. Then when I saw the value of the property at the point in time, I now understood why she was scared. Because literally, I think that what we got was supposed to be like anywhere between 750 and 800,000. This thing, the time was already shifting. Thing was already shifting close to like 10 million.
Wow, that's a lot.
And I think that's why she was worried that I would not want to sign it off.
Wow.
Well, I did sign it off. But at the point in time I was signing, I just realized that, dude, if you had bought this property at that time, you would have gotten this value for it. If you didn't want to build, you could have just sold the property and you would have made this much money. So that was something, that's an opportunity that I did lose, so to speak, on an investment. In terms of the ones that I've gained, thank God I've gained a few ones. One of the biggest investments that I've done is into my business. Because I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, I run the kind of business that you have to keep putting money into. There's no limit to how much you invest in this business called fashion, because if you have clothes, you want to sell more clothes. If you have a store, you want multiple stores. If you're done with stores, you want to be more e-commerce. If you're done with a country, you want to move to another country. So it's something you keep putting money into. The reinvestment rate when it comes to the business that I do is ridiculous. It's not a service whereby you can be at cap for a long time and you can say, I made this money, then put it somewhere else. It's something that you always need to keep putting money into. I think that's been my biggest investment to date.
That's interesting.
I have, I still own 100% of my business alongside my wife. So we share risk and profits together. And seeing the way it has grown, I always say that I think I'm only till today still benefiting from maybe like 30% of what I know my business can do. Many of that pullback is pretty because of me. Trying to get the right team, focus on the right thing at the right time, because I wear a lot of hats in my business, and that slows things down dramatically. But I look at it and say, what I'm really doing right now is like 30%. So recently I invested into footwear for the brand, which should be launching anytime soon. And now I look at it and think that it was small investment. Way back, it would have been capital investment. But almost immediately, if I sell, I know that I would definitely almost times 5 what I invested in a short time. So definitely my business is one of the biggest plus investments. Even right now, I'm even looking for money. If someone gives me 500 million right now, I'll take it into my business and I'll return that money in no time, because I'm certain of what can happen with that kind of investment. So those are 2 examples of a win and a loss in terms of investment.
Yes, that's interesting. That's super interesting. When you were talking about the part that you thought a property would not probably appreciate, and you just gave it out. I mean, even hearing that, now that you're even talking about, like, you literally just gave it out. Some people will still be saying, oh, I can sell it at a lesser price, they'll be putting some plus. But you just felt I'm definitely taking that, because personally, sometimes I can be like that. I'll just be, oh, maybe this will not be what's my time or what's my money, and I'll just say, oh, let's just give it up. So our audience, I'm
That's
sure
what
you are
people think of
listening. You know, you should
properties.
always be deliberate. You should always be careful and conscious about decisions that you make. And of course, he shared the one that he had to win something. It's his business. So if you're running a business, even in your personal life, you should be careful about things that you're investing your money and your time into. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Mai. That was very, very, very insightful.
Just to quickly add, just to tell people that sometimes in terms of investment, it doesn't have to be something you're passionate about.
Right.
In what to invest in, just something you have to, it's work, research about it, see if it turns over, then invest in it. We always tend to want to invest in things we are fully knowledgeable about or things that we want to use personally. You know, I know someone that is right now buying luxury cars as investments. And I probably wouldn't. I always think of cars as something I need to go from point A to point B. True. I don't see it as an investment, but he's buying like some luxury cars. I don't know if that's a good investment because I do not know about that. But once the guy said that's time researching, I think one of the easy ones for us is to understand this property. Like property is a good investment. It's like do whatever you want to do to jump onto the ladder. You know, be at the base, then you can grow up from there. So it doesn't have to be something you're very knowledgeable about at the beginning, but research and understand. As long as someone else is making money from it, then there is a potential for you to invest in that kind of thing and also make some
very true.
Some
very true.
investment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like Mr. Mary mentioned, research about it. So the fact that you don't know about it is not an excuse for you to say, oh, that's why I didn't invest in it. Research. And of course, like we always say, Google is your friend. So you can just go online, search what has been done. And like you mentioned again, real estate is definitely one sure way of investment because it's something you can see. It's tangible, or like every other investment fund, it's tangible. You can see it. And you can be sure that the value would appreciate over time. So real estate investment is definitely one of your sure bets for that, just like Mr. Maya has also said. And of course, please research whatever it is you want to invest in. It doesn't have to be that, oh, I like it, that's what I'm investing in. Fine, your passion can be a part of it, but you have to also ensure that you've done enough research before you can invest in such things. Thank you so much for that. So I'll be moving on to Dr. Lufemi. So what investment mistake do you think has cost you the most? I mean, you especially, you have been in the financial industry, consulting industry, real estate industry. I mean, mention them. So of all these industries, through your journey, which investment mistake do you think you've done that has cost you the most? Just share with us. We're looking forward to hearing it.
I think the one that I'm going to use two examples too. The first one is when I invested in what I didn't understand how they were making money. And this is what I mean. Whatever investment you want to do, you must understand how that investment generates return before you must be comfortable with it. This is what I mean. At the 80s, that's I think 2008, 9, 10, thereabout, Forex was like the in thing, and a lot of people were doing stuff there and there. And I remember that there was this guy that came to our office then. I was working in the health insurance environment. And then he said, oh, if you invest $500, you get another $500 in 3 to 6 months. And I didn't actually, I didn't bother to, initially I didn't want to invest. I didn't bother to even find out. And then everybody around me were investing. I didn't understand exactly how they were generating that kind of return. But because of the peer pressure, at the point, I actually got my own cash and I went to borrow $200,000 then. That was roughly about $1,000 or so. And it looked like immediately I invested my own money. That was when the whole scheme stopped. You know, that kind of thing. So I lost not just my money, I lost other people's money in that particular. I'm sure that a lot of us, we've had that kind of experience. So the lesson I took away was I didn't understand how that model was going to generate returns. And I invested because of sentiment. Now, I would say something that might be a bit different from what Matt said earlier, that one of the things you do, no matter how, you might not be passionate about it, but you must understand how it's going to generate return for you. Not just throw your money in and trust that whoever is handling the money will do well by you. You must understand how. Yes, you might not be managing it. Everything comes with a risk, but you must have a clear idea of how they're going to generate the return they are promising you. If you cannot explain it, if you cannot research and understand how those people will generate return, then you want to be careful. That also goes for when you're investing in stock market. You must understand the business that the company you're investing in do, and then how they generate return and how they generate a return over time. So that was the number one mistake I made. I lost a lot of money at that time. The second investment mistake I made was not understanding the full picture where I wanted to invest in. I invested in a particular. Let me use another example. The second one that I would share with us is when fear is the primary motivation when you are making business decisions. Now, one of the things one should never do, once you are clear about how a business or an investment will generate return for you, there's always the element of fear because, I'm sorry, the area is noisy, right? There's always the element, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're going to leave this area. I'm on the road. Now, there's always the element of fear when we're making a decision, but we should never let that be the primary motivation for whatever we decide on. I remember clearly that there was a company, a real estate research company that approached me at that time. They wanted us as CASAFINA to invest in their company. And they were willing to do 40 to 45% for as low as 10 million naira at that time. And I looked at it, the model was good, the idea was fantastic. I felt that they could do well, but I was just paralyzed by fear that what if we lose this money at that time? 10 was a lot of money to us. And because of that, I did not invest in that company. Fast forward about 14 months later, they had grown significantly, and there was this foreign entity that wanted to acquire them. Now, they were going to give me 40%. That's when I say me, I was talking about CASAFINA as a group. They were going to give us 40% for 10 million. As at the time this company approached them about 6 or 7 months ago, 6 or 7 months later, and then the discussion went on for another 12 months, they bought that company 100% for about 1.4 million US dollars. So what it means is if you had invested 10 million at that time and owned 40%, within 2 years of that particular operation, we would have done about 400 to 500,000 US dollars for just 10 million. So, when I heard this, and I called the CEO then, I said, look, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me, he said, he said, Doc, you guys would have actually made this money. Why didn't you invest in, when we came to you, that you didn't believe? I believe absolutely in what they were doing. The only reason was because I was just, when you suddenly have this morbid fear that, what if I lose this money? So as when you invest, particularly when the opportunity is very clear, once you understand what you're doing, once you know the direction that the business or whatever you want to do is going, and you think the opportunity, you should not let fear hold you back. I'm not saying that you would get the return all the time, but sometimes you just have to actually follow your gut and let fear, to stay by the wayside. So that's the second major investment mistake I think I've made. It was a very painful one. There are quite a number of other ones there and there, but I think I will stop at that.
Thank you, Doctor, for that. Thank you, Doctor, for that. So I was able to pick that. When Mr. Mai said we should research, he also said that we should not let fear hold us back. I mean, one of the things that holds everyone back, I think everyone can just be a testament to this, is that sometimes you want to do something, but you are afraid that, what if it fails? But the question is, what if it actually goes the way you want it to go? What if you succeed at that? So just like Doctor is saying, you shouldn't let fear be one thing that would hold you back from making wonderful investment options. And then again, peer pressure shouldn't be why you are investing in something. I mean, look at the forest instance you mentioned. I'm sure we've all done that. I mean, remember the days of MMM. We millennials, we can relate. And Gen Z, we all dived into MMM like nothing was going to stop us. But look where we are, right? Sometimes peer pressure shouldn't be why you are making wrong investment options. It should be because you are sure this would work. You've done your research. You are not allowing fear to hold you back. That's why and how you should make investment options. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Olufemi. So my next question is, of course, to Mr. Atafo. Now, we are learning from you. If you could go back to like 10 years ago, right, or 15 years ago, or 5 years ago, if you could go back in time, what investment option would you like to invest in? Like, so there are quite a number of things people can invest in, right? But if you had to go back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, what investment option do you think you would have wanted to invest in? What exactly would you have loved to invest in? Please tell us. Let's go. You're on mute, please. You're on mute. You're on mute. We can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, I think that I'd have invested more in property, to be honest. Like, honestly, that goes without saying. That goes without saying. I did invest in a few properties later on, but there were some that were really low-hanging fruits, and I think that the return would have been, a lot. And some of them had to do with properties outside Nigeria, and that I had the opportunity to actually be a part of. I jumped on it later, but it wouldn't have been as sweet as then. So I felt like the entry point then was a lot easier. Times are harder now, So the kind of money you're making now, you'd have invested in something bigger years ago. So that's something that I would have definitely invested in. And I think that away from that, just like Doctor said, there were a few businesses that came up. And these investments that I'm going to talk about, 7 financial investments, so actually I was the investment. They wanted me to come on board with like literally no money, but expertise. And they were going to give me percentage of the business. And all I had to render was my expertise. My expertise as value, and I got a return on investment for as long as I was there, but they were still going to pay me a salary for that service I was offering. So it was something that I just felt I didn't have the time because I wanted to concentrate on my business. Thinking back now, huge mistake. Huge mistake. One of them was an advertising agency where he was ready to split with me 50-50 because I understand advertising and marketing and brand management. And he didn't. He was a lawyer. And he had literally run down the business and he was about to exit. And he was ready to offer me 50% of the business. And I should carry on because the business was there. Everything was there. But I didn't. So that's one thing that I would have changed. And the same person that was offering me that was also offering to buy into my business. I think that was meant to solidify our partnership, where if I didn't give enough to the advertising agency and I gave more to fashion, it would make from the fashion too, But I turned it down. And this was really big. It was in terms of, first of all, our factory was going to be in the heart of Ikoyi. We already acquired some very, very, very huge 3-level house with a basement. And he was ready to bring in the expatriates to make sure that everything worked. Like you run it like a proper business. And I was, back to Doctor, I was kind of scared for the fact that he wanted to invest that much into my business because I didn't see us making the kind of returns that he was talking in terms of numbers. I didn't see it at all. So it was like, what do you need? Well, you need production. Okay, we'll get people in. We get Chinese people in. They'll stay in this place. And it was a 20 bedroom mansion on Raymond Joku. And we'll get them to live here. We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that. I just thought, no, man, this is a bit too much. I don't see it. And huge mistake. So those are kind of things I would have invested in terms of time and money. And to think about it, none of this was going to cost me money. So I do not know why it was such a thing not to go ahead with any of these 2 options. None of it was going to cost me any amount of money. So the advertising agency was in Ikoyi behind Falomo, and this was going to be on Raymond Joku, which is literally one stretch, to be honest. But yeah. So if I could go back in time, I would correct these wrongs and definitely would have invested myself in this and accepted this investment also.
That was insightful. Thank you, Mike, for sharing that. That was super insightful. I mean, you heard it. One of the things that, of course, stopped him again was fear. and not really certain of the outcome. I mean, it's always something. Sometimes we want to make a decision because we are not sure of what it would look like. We tend to make another mistake. But I personally am taking this again so as to ensure that I am not making decision out of fear, but I'm making decisions out of certainty and me being sure that, oh, this would work right. Okay, thank you for sharing everything. So doctor, please share yours. If you're going back in time, 5, 10, 15 years, what would you prefer to invest in? What would you have invested in?
Well, without not because I play in the real estate, I would have done a lot more in terms of real estate investment. There are a lot of 200,000, 500,000 plots of land with good title that I would have taken up. That's one. But the other thing that I would have done, I would have experimented more. I remember clearly that at that time, I was, at the when cryptocurrency was just beginning to become popular. I had the opportunity of buying quite a lot because for one reason or the other, I was doing a project that gave me some kind of cash that I could have invested in that. If I had bought, invested in crypto. Now, you need to be careful when I say I would have cryptocurrency, not because, but this is the lesson for me. Life presents us with some opportunities, and if you have the means, you can just close your eyes and experiment. But you must only experiment with the money you can afford to lose, right? So you must, no matter how low you're ready to keep aside some cash for, in quote, experiment. Now, from cryptocurrency to a lot of other kind of technology-driven things, I would have invested in that one. So the lesson for me is now I keep aside something. When I see crazy opportunities that, well, it might fail, it might not fail, I just want to put in a bit of my cash. If I put in $1,000 at that time, probably would be worth, because I just felt it was crazy. So the second lesson I just got from that is discount movement or wherever you think technology is going because you do not understand that particular technology. Try to understand it. If you understand it, try to just affordable loss. That's what I call it. So don't discount opportunities. So that's one. The other thing I would have done would have been investment in myself. I would have learned how to. I would have invested in learning how to code or understand technology a bit better because that would have helped me. And it was still the same idea that. I didn't understand how important this whole skill was going to be. So those are the two things. And the lesson for me is never discount something because you do not understand it. You can discount it because you understand it and it does not have a role in your overall strategy. But don't discount because you do not understand. It is your and before you discount. I would have been one of the early, what do you call it? I would have been the early holders of Bitcoin at that time. So I think those are.
Hello, Doctor.
Things I can remember readily. Those two. Where did I stop?
Yeah, you were talking about cryptocurrency and we can hear you very well. Then the tech,
yeah.
If you want to
the summary of the lesson that I got is that never discount opportunity to invest because you do not understand an event or a new development or a new platform. You understand? Let ignorance not be the deciding factor. That I did not invest in crypto at that time. Because even though I had cash I could afford to lose, which is what I tell people: if you want to invest in those kind of speculative instruments, make sure it's money you can lose. Because it was ignorance. I just felt I didn't, I was just ignorant. You understand? So don't discount whatever is happening because of you. And then lastly, I said I would have invested in real estate more. And I keep telling the story, even though it's not one of my biggest regrets, that I got behind Punch, I got the opportunity to buy 2 acres of land for 9.6. That's 800 per plot at that time. because it was marshy, I did not invest in that. 5, 6 years later, an estate has sprung up behind that particular land, and the same land that I ignorantly rejected jumped from 800K to 13 million per plot.
Whoa.
So if I bought at that time, 5 years ago, I would have 13 times 12.
Wow.
I would have made about 150 million from just 9.6 million investment. You understand? Every time I pass in that, I drive by that direction. I shake my head like, you know, it was. That's one of the big. Till tomorrow, I can't forgive you Olufemi for not doing that transaction, and I could have mustered the money. I could have not forgiven myself, and I could have raised the fund at that time. I had a chunk of it. You know, it's crazy.
Right.
It was yeah.
Right, I can imagine. Thank you for sharing that, Doctor. I mean, that's definitely worth regretting. I mean, look at the amount. So just like Dr. have said, and even I also said it, that real estate investment is just one opportunity you don't want to miss out on. So even in your journey, your investment journey, you should not neglect opportunities. Like opportunities sprout up here and there. I mean, there's opportunity in cryptocurrency, like you mentioned, opportunity in the tech world. But one important opportunity that you can be sure that no matter the timeline, no matter how, no matter when, it will always appreciate is real estate investment. I mean, look at the example you mentioned, a particular land that was selling for like, 5%, and then it's like, how many percent increase would you even call that? Like, that's maximum increase. So please, guys, one thing we shouldn't, in our own lesson as millennials, as also, we are just trying to build our future and get something for ourselves. We shouldn't neglect opportunities, especially in the real estate investment sector. Thank you so much for that. So, our last question is to Mr. Atafo. Now, in your journey so far, if you are just going to give us one lesson, in fact, you can make it three, we don't mind. We are really ready to learn today. We are going to get everything we can learn from you today. But if there's one lesson you would just like to tell us, like when it comes to investment, when it comes to our finances, right? What is one lesson that you think you can just give us, something we can all live by? Please share with us. We would love to listen and learn.
I think that there's one thing I think that every Nigerian, anyone that's trying to invest in something that gives you returns in Forex. So that's something that I've realized as time goes on. Anyone that earns and gets a return in Forex and lives in this country or lives in any country is definitely better off. No matter how small it looks, in terms of value, it's always better. So anything you can invest in that gives a return in Forex, I take it as a huge investment. Yeah, I would never stop saying that. I'm supposed to have gone to, I think, Korea, where I'm supposed to have been in Abidjan, then Malabo, just because I want to earn Forex doing my business. And I'm trying to invest in trying to get like a stable place in Abidjan and in Ghana because I will earn in Forex. So I would say that's important to do. Another thing I think is very important to do is when we are investing or working on the business, whatever it is, I think the key thing, when you're investing your time and your effort, try not to look at now. Try to look at the future, because at the end of the day, if you are going to sell, you can make money off it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're doing right now as a business is something that you will do till the day you die. You can just do it because you want to sell at the point in time. I think Dr. Sheyi made reference to that when he talked about the research estate agent company that was meant to invest in. So I think that that's really important. So even if we are doing something that is Nigerian centric, we should try to make it like also globally adaptable, because then you can get investment, then you can set up, then you can make a lot of money. So I believe in those. So follow the trend. I'm taking cue from Dr. Sheyi. Follow the trend in terms of right now, everything is digital. I don't understand cryptocurrency myself, but I've put some money in it just to see. But digital is where the world is at right now. And if you don't have any investment there, one form or the other. And I think they are beginning to miss out. I think they call these things now EMTs in the metaverse, where you can invest in art and create art and sell art and stuff. It's becoming something big. And I'm trying to really understand it so I can actually apply myself in that realm. Because a lot of people are making money in that. And again, I keep saying it's Forex. So it's very important to make money in Forex, as the case may be. So those are the things that we advise anybody in terms of investment. Look at where the trends are going to. Even if you do not understand it, try to understand it and see if there's room there for you to play. If you're not conversant with technology and you let it slip, you are getting out of the game. Literally, there's no other way to explain it. You're literally getting out of the game. You know, if our parents couldn't get into Facebook, you know, or we didn't get into Facebook because we didn't understand what it was for, now it's one of the biggest business tools in the world. All right, and you do not understand, you cannot use it, then it's gone. So things have moved on from there. Now Instagram is becoming a very huge business to where you can sell directly from there. So things are changing dramatically and drastically, and it's driven by technology. So I think that you have to always make sure you understand and be in technology for investment, for work and for investments, period. I think that's very important. And in relation, technology is almost as good as Forex, to be honest. I don't want to talk about people that I see that like Abeg or any of them digital banks. You know, the money they're making. I speak to someone that co-owns one of the digital banks called one of the digital bank. I don't want to call the name because he didn't pay us to call his name, but he literally was just getting the digital bank, and he was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And by the last evaluation, they were evaluated at $15 million, and somebody bought 1% of the bank recently. And this is him just never understanding what he's doing with the digital bank, and he's already made $5 million from an evaluation. And people just still do this just to amass things and just sell. So I think it's very important to invest in digital as much as possible, and earn in Forex, or invest in Forex and earn in Forex. So those would be my advice.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Maya. I mean, that's really, really impactful. I mean, no, talking about the digital part that you mentioned, I mean, the world is long gone are those days where I was saying the world is digital, right? Like everything we do, you know, like the instance you mentioned, metaverse. I read somewhere that some people are getting married in the metaverse world, and the people literally did not move out of their homes, but they're getting married somewhere else, and people join the wedding. I mean, it's sometimes it's like, whoa, how is that done exactly? But one thing is that you have to, you know, key into it so that you won't have to regret it in future. Personally, I'm taking that because there's some things I have, you know, my own sentiments, my own skeptical belief, and sometimes because I am afraid. But now with everything that I've learned here, I am sure I won't just be like, oh, how is it done? Then I just ignore. I have to ensure that I am being super, super cautious about decisions I'm making, and I'm intentional about my investment. Thank you so much. So, Doctor.
Just to add to that already,
Okay, thank you.
before we move on to Doctor,
Yeah.
is this conversation about the metaverse, and I think it's a bit of a psyche twister. Okay, how the metaverse is almost more important than the universe right now as we speak. Because, you know, I was probably lying in bed when you called me 30 minutes ago and said that I had to join this call. Right now, I'm literally in the metaverse. Right. And I'm doing this, and I'm impacting people directly from the metaverse to the universe. Right. So it feels like for you to make impact in life, you almost have to come to the metaverse, then it is on the universe. And a good example someone gave was that we can say that being verified on social media, it's not really a big deal. Getting the blue tick is not really a big deal. It's just a tick at the end of the day. But if you sat next to me in a restaurant and we're having a conversation, right, or we're having drinks, and you asked me, who are you? Oh, yeah, I'm Atafo, I'm a fashion designer. And if you looked at my handle and saw that I had 30 million followers and I was verified, you would look at me differently immediately.
Very true. Very, very true.
You look at me different immediately. So that means that the metaverse is literally more powerful than the universe, because your first assessment of me was physical from the universe. And when you looked at me, I was, okay, yeah, it looks like somebody has something going on. But once you went to social media and you saw 30 million, I mean, I have 30 million followers. But when you go to the social media and you see 30 million followers, right, and you see the kind of interaction that I have, the person that is standing in front of you automatically just changes. It feels like that person has money in the bank. Like, that is bankable. It is that big. So I feel like our interaction in the metaverse right now is literally bigger than the universe. That you can live a whole digital life without anybody physically seeing you at all in person. They can see you in the metaverse, but not see you physically in the universe. And you'll be fine, 100% fine. Because I'll still give more examples. If tomorrow Kim Kardashian wants to have a Zoom call with Nigerians and ask people to pay ₦1 million for that Zoom call to be part of it, people will pay. People would pay.
Definitely, trust me, they will.
People will pay.
Yeah.
You know, when Davido did his ₦1 million, whatever, I knew people that didn't know him that well that paid so that he could put their name on his story and say thank you. That is all metaverse stuff, because I probably would never see you in my life in the universe.
True.
But Davido has given you a stamp of approval in the metaverse. You are somebody. Your next line could be one of the contributors to Davido's 250 million, Mr. Ubachuku. He's a leading, and that could be your introduction in life.
Your entry already.
You know? So I think that it's a bit mind-boggling, but I think it's only mind-boggling because people are getting old. If you are young, it doesn't bog your mind at all. You get right into it and you just jump into it. My daughter lives in the metaverse every day of her life, literally.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's it for me.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Like, I totally agree. I mean, it's a conversation I was even having with my friend that it's like this metaverse thing. It doesn't even involve you leaving your house and you're making money, you're creating value, you're getting known. So you can be wherever you can. I can decide to be at a beach and people are listening to me and I am making my money. Like, how cool can that be? I mean, that's the kind of world most people are actually looking forward to living, right? And it's just interesting. And I just think it's one thing everybody should actually key into right now, that it's still hot, right? Before it gets warm and, you know, it's like a general thing, right? So it's just part of the investment options out there, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Mike, for that. So, Doctor, I'm moving over to you. What lesson would you like to drop for us when it comes to investment today?
Well, the number one thing is still very close to what my Atafo had said, is knowledge. Now, at this point in time, the most important investment should be in knowledge, because what you know can literally attract everything you need. So at every point in time, you must invest in getting to know what is the trend, what is happening around you, how can it benefit you, how can you be of value within that. And then also we're getting to an age where the what people pay for is what they think you know. So you must first of all know, because that is the value you're going to put at the table. An average person, if you're setting your investment budget, you should set a chunk of the investment budget to developing your intellectual capacity, because it will play a role down the line. And when I say your intellectual capacity, I'm not saying that maybe if you are an engineer, you're only investing in engineering knowledge. I'm talking about investing across diverse fields, from digital media to human psychology to marketing to technology, to just consuming that particular that particular thing you're focused on part time. So that's what I would encourage everyone to do. Invest a chunk of your resource in gaining knowledge. That's number. Then number two is you actually must have a long-term approach to investment. A lot of time, people want to do a business and then you make your money, you're off in 2-3 months. While that is possible, true wealth actually that will last for a while, or that will last you for a while, will take time to build, will take knowledge and understanding to build. If you look at my Atafo, for example, any other business person, the years that they've invested in their businesses, you cannot discount it. So when it comes to, if it stands in front of an audience today and says that he mentioned something that is creating a footwear line, and he knows that it's going to double the cash if somebody invests in it or return. You understand? He's not talking because it just started. That pronouncement, that confidence is coming from 5-10 years of experience within that business investment environment. So anyone today, when you're considering investment, you must understand that is long term, particularly if you're looking to build, not just to get something suddenly and then free that away. So you must learn that it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, and it takes a lot of grit. And then the last thing that I would say, which is both on a lighter note, is that making money is very hard. You need a lot of toil, a lot of time, a lot of energy must be expended in the process. Do not think that, we because of, yes, maybe this is one of the cons. The person goes of Instagram and shows, bling bling, eyes on my wrist, eyes on my neck, and all those kind of stuff. And then it says, yesterday we were here, today we're balling, and those kind of stuff. And then everybody thinks that it's about that within 24-hour kind of movement. No. Before the guy is saying eyes on my wrist and eyes on my neck, I'm referring to a particular music now. Nobody can tell how many nights this same guy spent in the studio toiling, how many versions of the same music is done out. So an average guy just says he released his first album and then is balling. We don't understand what has gone into that process. And whether you like it or not, in spite of all the testimonies that people say, like, there's always a toiling part of investment. So you must be ready to put in that time, that energy, that grind for it to, no matter what you want to invest in. So those are the three things I want people to take away. Knowledge is key. You must invest in knowledge. It takes time and energy. And then, it's hard. So that's basically what I would say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing those knowledge, Doctor. That was super insightful. I mean, like you said, it's not just about eyes on my neck, eyes on my wrist. It's about the time that you have put into that. It's about your time investment, your money investment. Even just like Mr. Maya said, it's about the things that you have built over time. That's to ensure that you are constantly building into who you want to be, and everything you do, you ensure that it's guiding up to who you want to be and the things you want to achieve in life. Thank you so much, Mr. Maya, Atafo, and Dr. Olufemi, for being here today. So to round up this, attendees, please, if you have any question, any question whatsoever when it comes to investment or with everything that they've told us and that we've learned from them today, please type it in the chat box or in the Q&A section, and I will just read it out to them and we can all share and learn. So I'll watch. So there's a Mrs. Bumi Bidari here that is saying, thanks for this insightful webinar. That's our panelist. Mrs. Bumi is telling you that thank you for this insightful webinar. And then she asked that, can I have a recording of this webinar? I wish I had invited my husband, but I would love that he listens to the discussion to fast track and act on my learnings. Of course, certainly right after this webinar, say by today or tomorrow, but tomorrow latest, we will be sending a pre-recorded webinar, this particular webinar. We'll be sending the pre-recorded version to everyone. So if you are here, if you're not here, even you can share with your friends. We'll have that up on our YouTube page, and we'll also share an email with the link to everyone so you can listen over and over. Personally, I would definitely listen over and over. So I would ensure that I am aligning this with my 2022 goals, because 2022, we must make smart investment options. It's not just about throwing money in the air. So guys, please, if you have questions, please throw it in. Let's just take all the questions and we would answer them. So let me just give everyone like 2 minutes to write your question. And if you can't write, then you can just unmute your mic and just say it out. Say you don't have time to write it, or you're at a place you can't write right now. You can just unmute yourself and just ask your question. So I'll be giving us 2 minutes for that. Okay, while we are waiting for our questions, let me just announce to us. So for this webinar, for everyone partaking in this webinar today, you get a 1 million naira shopping voucher when you shop on any of CASAFINA's current properties. So what I mean is currently at CASAFINA, we have flat 22 short-let apartments, which is currently selling for 27 million naira and 3 million naira respectively. So if you choose to buy right now, between now and December 30th, you get 1 million naira off from any of those properties. We also have the Omega Coastal, we have the 5-bedroom duplex that is showing on our screen right now. So if you're looking at the screen, you can see what I'm talking about. We have the 2-bedroom, we have the 4-bedroom, and the 5-bedroom. So if you decide to buy any of this right now, so like for instance, the 2-bedroom is selling at, can we go to the 2-bedroom? 2-bedroom is selling at 40 million naira. So because you are here, because you have registered for this, and because we are so confident about, making sure that you get the right thing when it comes to your investment, you can get 1 million naira off any of these properties. So please, if you are interested, kindly call on the number that will be typed in the chat box right now, or send an email to helpdesk@casafinadevelopment.com. We are ready to answer all your questions and put you in the right path when it comes to investment opportunities. So please, you can send your messages, call, send a WhatsApp message. We are definitely available to listen and ensure that you are on the right path. You can also visit our website. We are CASAFINADevelopment.com, and across all social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, we are CASAFINA Development. You can just follow us, turn on your notifications so that anything we drop, any vital information we drop, you can have instant access to that. Thank you. So let me see if you have any questions. Right now, we don't have any questions. So because we don't want to keep our panelists waiting, so I'll just allow us to end this particular webinar right now. So, but if you still have questions, you can just send an email with your questions to helpdesk@casafinadevelopment.com. Right? So you just follow us on our social media accounts and just send a DM. We will definitely reply, and you can ask your questions, any question at all. We'll be ready to answer them. So thank you so much for being here. And a big thank you to our panelists, Mr. Mai Atafo, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I mean, like you mentioned, he wasn't even supposed to be around, right? But, thank you for honoring us now to be here. We are super grateful you are here. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And also Dr. Olufemi Seyi, as you can see, he's a busy man. He's even on his way. He's in a car. Thank you for being here. We are grateful you are here. And we are gingered. We are proud with everything that we've learned from yourself and Mr. Maya Atafo. We are definitely looking forward to a better 2022. So thank you so much, everyone. And that will be all for this webinar. Thank you. So any parting words to the panelists, Mr. Maya Atafo, do you want to say anything?
Okay. I'm not speaking. I think that I think we've all set it up. So please do not be scared. Research anything you want to invest in. And to invest doesn't mean that you should have all the money. It means you should have a little bit of it and just invest in it.
Right.
It's also a risk at the end of the day. So don't wait that you're all settled before you invest in something.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I have to say.
Right. Thank you so much. That's like easily. Thank you. Doctor, do you have any parting words to say before we just
I think we should just leave it at what Maya said earlier so that we can
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining in. And that would be all for now. Of course, but we are still here. We are on our social media platform. We are on our website. We are ready to take any inquiry. And when it comes to making your real estate investment option, CASAFINA Development is definitely your sure bet. So please feel free to message us. Feel free to